The music mogul who once traveled by private jet to all those mansions is now in a jail that is notorious for its bad living conditions.
The hip-hop mogul is said to be under watch for his own safety at the Metropolitan Detention Center in New York City.
It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here.
A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York.
I was Diddy's publicist for a couple of years, about 20 years ago, so 2003, 2004. I ended up doing his publicity for a couple of years.
Okay, gotta end your Friday with the scoop. Sean Diddy Combs could be fighting for his life amid federal and sex trafficking crime charges. And it doesn't help that during all of this, his longtime publicist has quit him.
The most important thing, even more important than the passport, is that Mr. Combs came to New York on September 5th. As soon as we realized that this indictment was going to be coming down in a matter of weeks, maybe months, but sometime soon, Mr. Combs got on a plane, left his home in Florida, flew to New York. I called the prosecutors myself.
Things are going downhill for Sean as well. His former publicist has publicly labeled him a manipulator, and his current publicist just resigned, sparking speculation about whether his lawyer might be next. While the lawyer still stands by him, the outlook isn't promising, especially with Diddy's own situation taking a turn for the worse. It all began with raids on Diddy's properties, uncovering startling findings. His time in jail has been rough. He's been denied bail twice, even after offering his $50 million mansion as collateral.
Waiting to be released on bail. His attorney writing in a letter to the court Wednesday that Combs is eminently trustworthy and should be released on a $50 million bond. The rapper offering to secure the bond with his $48 million Miami home, and the bond would be co-signed with his mother, sister, 3 adult sons, and mothers of his 2 daughters. Combs was arrested Monday, and sources tell ABC News he has not been incarcerated with the general prison population. A judge denied him bail Tuesday after expressing concern that Diddy's alleged crimes occurred behind closed doors, with law enforcement unable to monitor his behavior.
Someone's presumed innocent, so you're presumed that you get bail. Not in this kind of crime. In this kind of crime, bail is not presumed. Furthermore, you've got the problem that he's accused of intimidating witnesses, of trying to interfere with the investigation. None of that helps him in his argument that he should get bail.
Combs pleaded not guilty to charges of racketeering and sex trafficking. A 14-page indictment alleges Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male prostitutes called freak-offs.
Diddy's lawyer was understandably frustrated, having worked to demonstrate his client's cooperation throughout the investigation. The lawyer highlighted that Diddy immediately flew to New York upon learning he'd be taken into custody, showing his willingness to comply. However, the judges remain unconvinced, deeming him a societal threat and denying his release. Reports indicate that some victims also fear him, further reinforcing the court's stance against granting him bail.
Fight continues. We're not giving up by a long shot.
Outside the New York City courthouse, his lawyer defiant.
He believes he's innocent. I believe he's innocent. And we're going to fight this case with all of our might until we don't have to fight any longer.
The judge ruling the bail package presented by Combs' lawyer was insufficient, siding with prosecutors, who called Combs a threat to society, adding there is no condition that would assure that the rapper would not obstruct justice.
The judges also cited a 2016 leaked video in which Diddy appeared to act violently toward his then-girlfriend, Cassie, with prosecutors arguing that this was further grounds for keeping him in jail. Additionally, prosecutors presented evidence that Diddy allegedly attempted to contact a witness over 50 times within a 24-hour period, possibly in an effort to intimidate or influence them.
That shows Combs brutally beating his then-girlfriend, singer Cassie, who prosecutors say was attempting to escape from one of Combs' so-called freak-offs, elaborated coerced sex parties that he often recorded. Combs' lawyer laying out his defense in court, arguing that the worst thing his client has done was on the videotape, adding that the two had loved each other, in which the judge responded, "What's love got to do with that?" calling the video disturbing.
Diddy's defense team was always the underdog in this bail argument, and that's because of the crime of human trafficking actually creates a presumption that the defendant should be detained.
In its bail proposal, Combs' legal team pointing out he surrendered his passport, voluntarily relocated to New York ahead of his arrest, is attempting to sell his plane, and hired private security to monitor Combs 24/7. However, prosecutors, who were adamant Combs remain in custody, pointed to what they describe as a massive amount of evidence, including text messages read in court from women accusing Combs of physical and sexual violence that went on for decades, and vast efforts to cover it up. Adding, witnesses universally share an extreme fear of the defendant.
This followed multiple statements from Diddy's lawyer, who had initially argued against the bail denial, claiming that Diddy's cooperation with the investigation proved he shouldn't remain in jail. Ironically, the lawyer continued to stress Diddy's discomfort in jail, highlighting the poor conditions he was facing, a point he mentioned repeatedly.
In the special housing unit, which is a very difficult place to be. It's one of the things I'm going to take up with the judge today, that it's impossible to prepare for a trial from where he is. We respectfully disagreed with the ruling, and that's why we're bringing it to the district judge who's assigned to the case this afternoon. And eventually he's going to be shown to be innocent. And so tomorrow we fight again, and we'll fight every day until we don't have to fight anymore. I don't know. The question is, why did it happen last night instead of today? I don't know the answer to that question. I just want to make one point very clear. We have no power. All we can do is show good faith. He got on a plane and he came here. And if he stayed here for one day before the case started, or for 1 year before the case started, he was going to stay as long as he needed to stay. It ends up being only 12 days. That's fine. That's what the government wanted to do. The government didn't want him to turn himself in. He came here to turn himself in. Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in. But we are going to make all these points again tomorrow, and we'll make him as much as we can until we get him out.
He also insinuated several times that the government had a vendetta against Diddy, suggesting that federal authorities didn't want him to voluntarily turn himself in.
Good afternoon, everybody. So we made a bail appeal to Judge Carter. It did not go our way. The fight continues. We're not giving up by a long shot. I told Mr. Combs I'm going to try and get his case to trial as quickly as possible. I'm going to try and minimize the amount of time he spends in very, very difficult and, I believe, inhumane housing conditions in the special housing unit of the Metropolitan Detention Facility. And I'm going to do everything that I can to move his case as quickly as possible. I understand that the government has a great amount of electronic devices that they have to download and provide to me, but everything's on the government's timetable, nothing's on the defendant's timetable, and they're going to have to accommodate me and him and give us a quick trial, and I'm going to be pushing for that. He's ready, he's focused. He has been ready to defend this case since he first found out about this case. Nothing has changed from his perspective. I obviously would much prefer to fight this case with him out of jail, and we are going to try to bring that about.
After Diddy's bail was denied once more, his lawyer maintained the image of Diddy as a fighter. He expressed concerns about Diddy being held in inhumane conditions, insisting that his client shouldn't have to endure such an environment.
Inside a facility that is being called hell on earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is notorious for its appalling living conditions and rampant violence. How bad is it inside this federal lockup? There have been 2 murders, 4 suicides, and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here. Donald Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, spent a harrowing year in federal custody. He says for someone used to a life of luxury like Diddy, prison life is a severe shock.
You have a desk, you have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow, and you also have a locker. So you basically have 3 feet by 5 feet to move around. So you have a basic 15 square feet. It is a horrible, horrible place.
In the past, Essex County, New Jersey, it's a county facility, but it has a contract with the federal government, and you can get certain number of federal inmates in Essex County, New Jersey. And in my experience, it's an easier place to deal with. I think it's better for the person being housed there, and it's easier to get access, to him. I mean, one of the hardest things when you're preparing for a very significant trial with a great deal of discovery is you want your client to be able to have access to, the electronic discovery. Nothing nowadays is in paper form. Everything's electronic. So you need to make sure that your client has access to a computer.
This came after reports indicated that Diddy is being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center, a facility known for its violent atmosphere. Notably, it's the same place where high-profile inmates like R. Kelly and Ghislaine Maxwell were also incarcerated.
Before politician Moses Shine Barrow entered politics in his native Belize.
This is someone that destroyed my life.
He was a rapper who had a mentor named Sean Diddy Combs. But Barrow was convicted and sentenced to 10 years in prison.
I was defending him, and he turned around and called witnesses to testify against me, and he contributed. He pretty much sent me to prison.
Barrow was released in 2009 and deported to Belize. He insists that he never took part in any of Diddy's alleged freak-offs, parties where people were forced into sex acts with male prostitutes.
I had nothing to do with Sean Combs' personal life, no interaction. That level, everything was strictly on a professional level.
As a result, Diddy's lawyer is advocating for his transfer to a prison in New Jersey, likely aiming to secure better living conditions for him.
He pretty much sent me to prison. That is the context by which you must always describe that relationship. I forgave. I moved on. But let us not pretend as if I was in Miami for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Shine insinuated that he and Combs are not as close as some would think. Despite his forgiving heart, he made sure to set the record straight about their relationship. Quote, "So let us not lose sight of what the cold, hard facts are," Shine stated. "This is not someone who I vacationed with and who he and I enjoyed this great, intimate relationship of brotherhood. This is someone who destroyed my life and who I forgave, and who I moved on." Over the years, Shine has worked with Diddy to bring resources to Belize, yet he clarified that their partnership was strictly business. Strictly business.
It's ironic that Diddy's lawyer is voicing concerns about the harsh conditions Diddy is experiencing, especially given that Diddy showed little remorse when his former protege, rapper-turned-politician Shine, was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Shine took the blame for the 1999 Club New York shooting, an incident that also involved Jennifer Lopez and Diddy.
I was Diddy's publicist for a couple of years, about 20 years ago, so 2003, 2004. I ended up doing his publicity for a couple of years. He was a really instrumental person in my PR life. I'd never really represented a celebrity as big as that. I went on to represent other big stars, but he was sort of like my first. And in many ways, he taught me how to be a publicist. He knows how to manipulate a narrative. He knows how to tell a story. He knows how to be exciting, flashy. And so I've got to be honest here, my time with Diddy, yeah, and I think this is backed up in the lawsuit, when 20 years ago, Diddy seemed to be a much different man than he was just 10 years ago. So I did not see any of this behavior. Did I see him being treated like a king? Of course. Did I see him enjoying being a celebrity? Yes. Of all the big stars I've worked with, Diddy enjoyed being Diddy more than anybody else. He loved the spotlight. He loved people talking about him.
Shine clarified his relationship with Diddy, asserting that he was never involved in any of the freak-offs. He emphasized that while he has forgiven Diddy for the past, it doesn't imply that they share a close or friendly personal relationship.
She was promoted to Diddy's chief of staff back in 2020, and she's very important to him. Combs has even written about her on social media. Meet Christina Coram, chief of staff at Combs Enterprises. Christina, aka KK, keeps everything in my life and my business running. She's been my right hand for the last 8 years and has consistently proven to execute and get S-word done. Don't know how I'd function without her. In another post, Diddy wrote, "Happy birthday to my ace Boon Coon, my right hand, my day-to-day manager that keeps my world twirling, and she's always got my back. She makes sure that I smile every day and I don't go into those dark places. Today is your day. It's your mother effing birthday. Go KK, it's your birthday. Love you, at Christina Quorum.
There are people around Diddy who have been there for decades. Recently, his longtime publicist, Natalie Moore, who's been there for 20 years, she appears as if she has quit. Her phone is no longer ringing. Her email has been discontinued. Also to his chief of staff, Kristen Karim, who has been with him for several years too. People have called her the Ghislaine Maxwell of this organization. That is nothing that anybody ever wants to be called. And so other people here are involved.
Recent news reveals that Diddy is now on the lookout for a new crisis management team following the departure of his last publicist, Natalie Moore. He seems to be struggling to find a suitable replacement, which further compounds the challenges he's facing during this difficult time.
Because she had been with him for over 2 decades. I know this woman quite well. And I gave her a call and a text on Thursday saying, hey, I've got a story here that Diddy has been looking for a crisis management PR team since over 6 months. Since last year, almost right after the Cassie allegations were settled. And she didn't get back to me. The next thing you know, she announces she has quit. So here's the deal. One of the reasons she quit, I am sure, is that A, what is she going to do in this situation?
Yeah,
but
it's
B,
a hard thing to fix.
100%, but also the crisis management PR people that he has been reaching out to charge at minimum 30 grand a month, nowhere near what he was paying his longtime PR person. So it's a little bit of like, hey, thanks for nothing.
Yeah. Also, Paula, we've all been talking about this week.
For now, Diddy's lawyer maintains his support, claiming that Diddy is doing well despite reports of him being placed on suicide watch. This indicates that the lawyer is trying to convey a sense of confidence regarding Diddy's well-being, even as he navigates the turmoil of his legal challenges.
A source tells NBC News that the decision to put the music producer on suicide watch is routine, calling it, quote, procedural with high-profile clients. Diddy's lawyer Mark Agnafilo also tells TMZ that after spending hours with the Bad Boy Entertainment founder in federal lockup, he viewed his client as, quote, not at all suicidal, calling him, quote, strong, healthy, confident, and focused on his defense.
But how long will Diddy's lawyer continue to support him? Will he remain on board, even if it appears Diddy is fighting a losing battle, or will the disgraced mogul need to find a new legal team as well? We'll have to wait and see. That's all for now. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below.